Hey everybody, this is Travis. Welcome back to another episode of the Rep by Rep Strength Podcast. Today I wanted to spend a few moments talking about when to start. So I've noticed that a lot of people seem to try to be waiting for the right time to start training. They're just waiting for the right time where everything in their life is going great before they start something new, is something I'll hear people say from time to time. Well, here's the thing. It's never going to be the perfect time. There's always going to be something that pops up in your life that will be less than optimal. So if you continue to use that as a crutch or an excuse as to why you can't do something, it will never get done in the first place. So let me give you a couple examples of folks that I've trained over the past week. So let's start with today. There's a lady that I train in the evening, and she broke her wrist a couple months ago. She's still in a sling, or still in a cast for it, and going through her physical therapy protocol, and then seeing me in the evening time. Now, what can we do in the meantime? Well, we can work on her unaffected side. We can train the hell out of her legs, and she can work on conditioning a ton of different ways. So that's example number one. Example number two from today. There was a military member that came in to the gym, hadn't seen him for a little while, and anyway, he had a bad landing from a skiing incident, and had broke his tib fib and had to have surgery, and he's been out a little while due to that. But as soon as he was cleared to get back started again, he's back in the gym doing what he can, and he even hopped in with me on a few of my lifts to end out my training day. So as you can imagine, he's crutching around the weight room, training what he can, and then when he's in the weight room, he takes his cast off, hops around on his one usable leg right now, and tries to put some amount of weight on the side that was treated. So it's inspiring to see this guy still get after it, still train hard, even though his circumstances are less than ideal. Going back further, last week, another military member had low back issue from something that happened in the field. So what do? Do we just sit there and say, oh, poor me? No, hell no. We actually are as aggressive as we can safely be and train to facilitate some blood flow to that area so that it will recover quicker. And that's counter to what a lot of people think or assume. A lot of people think, oh, okay, if something hurts, well, I just shouldn't do anything. And that's not the way it works. You should move as much as you can possibly move without pain. So, what were some things that we could have this guy do? Well, we started off just by walking. He started walking around the weight room. Okay, this feels okay. How about body weight reverse hypers? How's that feel? That felt okay. How about, some suitcase carries, some light suitcase carries? How do those feel? Those felt fine. What about bat wings? What about pull-ups? And the list goes on and on and on of things that we just tried. And we tried with very, very light weight, just a couple reps, just to get him moving around to see if we could get any kind of movement in there. And turns out that we got a hell of a lot of work done, as opposed to just sitting at home trying to wait it out, trying to wait for the ideal time for nothing to hurt anymore. Well, here's the thing. The more you train, the more things are going to pop up from time to time. So you have to push through the discomfort, push through the pain at times, where appropriate, when appropriate, and then work around what is, not hurting as bad. And you also have to spend, the more you train, the more you're going to have to spend time on recovery or mobility, and those types of exercises as well. And to finally close this out was, a conversation I was having with my daughter today. So she's 7, and last week here in Washington, it got down to 6 degrees. So it's pretty damn cold. And today, today it's 52 degrees out right now as I'm driving home. So, quite the temperature swing. The reason I'm bringing this up is because she isn't old enough yet to really have a good frame of reference about what extreme temperatures are and how those different temperatures will feel. Yeah, last summer here in Washington, it got up to 114 degrees, but it was just for a couple days, and I'm sure she doesn't even remember that to have an accurate representation of, well, what's 114 feel like compared to 50 degrees, compared to 0 degrees. So, my point is, the more you train, the more accurate that frame of reference becomes for weight selection, exercise selection, how far you can push yourself, things of that nature. So when I got home with my daughter today, it was 52 degrees outside, and I told her she was to go outside and play. And she was to play until dinner was ready. So roughly, it's going to take about 20 minutes. Well, her perception was that it was cold outside. It was absolutely not cold outside. So I had to bring her in and talk to her for a minute and explain to her that what she's feeling is a little bit of discomfort because she's used to coming into the house where it's, 68 to 72 degrees, kind of depending on how everybody's feeling or whatever. But anyway, she goes outside and it feels like a very significant temperature shift. And to me and my wife, it's not a big deal. But to her, because she's so young, she doesn't really understand that in order to get more comfortable with those temperature swings, you have to be exposed to different temperatures for longer durations to have a higher tolerance. So I said, hey, let's just stay outside for 10 minutes. Tomorrow I'm going to have you try to stay outside for 12 minutes so you can get acclimated to it, so you can get used to it. The same lesson applies when it comes to training. You're going to have to be willing to take that first step, to be uncomfortable, to step outside of quote-unquote ideal conditions so that you can increase your tolerance, so that you can increase your workload, and then get better. That's how training goes. The cornerstone of all training is progressive overload in some way, shape, or form. Basically, you have to expose an organism to a stressor and then let the organism rest so that it grows and adapts to that stressor. And then you basically have to do that over and over and over and over again in a consistent, progressive manner, and then great things happen. The problem is, so many people are not willing to take the first step, and so many people, if they do take the first step, are not willing to do it consistently. That's the rub. The consistency or the lack thereof is what crushes people's progress. Every damn day, you have to show up. You have to do something. So that's my little training tip, if you will, to round out the night. So this podcast is actually going to get posted on a Tuesday instead of a Monday because it slipped my mind the other day to go in and get this posted. And for me, that's less than ideal circumstances because It's not on the same day, but I'm still getting it posted within the same week. I'm still hitting my weekly targets of what I want to get posted. And that's the thing, is yes, it's less than ideal circumstances. It's outside of what I'm happy with. But I'm still consistently getting it done week in and week out. And that is my goal, to continue putting out content every single week for this year. And then next year, I'm going to focus on trying to get 2 podcasts out per week. And it's just going to grow and grow and grow. Anyway, hope you have a good night. If there's anything I can help you with at all, please feel free to drop me an email, jtbarrettfitness@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram @tbarrettstrength. Have a good night.